Here's why you cannot be loyal to your 9 to 5 job, no matter how good it seems right now. This is the mistake that I see a lot of people making when they work regular 9 to 5 jobs is they get too comfortable in their current position and you end up staying at your current position for way longer than you should. So what I keep hearing from more and more people is they're getting burnt out from work. They don't feel like working an extra 40 hours a week. And oftentimes when you are at work, you feel very tired. And all you could really think about when you're at work is just, man, I can't wait to get home so I could just rest and I could just relax, right? And that unfortunately seems to be the average life for most Americans, right? You go to work 40 hours a week, and then when you get home, you just completely crash because you're so exhausted. And that's especially if you're doing like, manual labor at your job, or it's a super busy day and you have to be moving around quite a lot. It's very easy to feel exhausted after you work, like a long, 8 to 10 hour day or 12-hour shift, right? So then what the average American does when they get off work is outside of sleeping, typically you just want to relax. You want to watch movies, you want to play video games, but I would say most people when they get off work, they just doom scroll social media and their whole brain is just being fried by a bunch of AI slop, unfortunately, and that's kind of, I would make the argument making all of us dumber, basically. So let's talk about why being loyal to your company always backfires on you, especially with the way things are today, right? So something I want to share, as far as my, part of my story, working regular jobs is like every single job that I've had, I stayed at for on average about 2 to 4 years on average. Most jobs that I've had I was at for at least 2 years or 4 years, kind of around that range. And so from the age of 16 was when I started working. I got my first job working as a busboy in an Italian restaurant. Worked there for about a year and a half, 2 years almost. And then I left that position, worked at a retail store that was nearby. And then after that, I worked in a dollar store, which I was way too loyal for that company. I was there for about 4 years. And then after that, I worked in the liquor store and then another retail store after that, right? So the one thing so I will take the dollar store job, for example. That was probably my worst job that I've had, throughout my life. And that job site that I was at, I was at there way longer than I should have been. And the one thing that being loyal to that company especially got me was it just got me, just put more work on my end to where, I had to often be picking up for employees that either quit on the spot or walked out of the company or stopped showing up or got fired. And I would often be the first person to reach out, even on my days off, saying like, hey, this person quit, you got to come into work. And so I had very little free time being at that job. However, it was kind of like I stayed with that company just because of the fact that it was walking distance from where I lived, and I just got comfortable in a sense. So as a result, I stayed at that company longer than I should have been. And the biggest issue with that job was I was barely making anything at all. I was making like minimum wage, and then I was often doing like 3 different jobs at once. Like I'd have to be like running the cash register, and then having to stock shelves on top of that, and then also having to do, truck whenever that's available. Every single week that comes in, I'd have to get all the products out from there. And compare that to the last job that I've had where I was just stocking shelves in a grocery store. That job paid me a little bit more compared to the dollar store job, and I was just doing one job, which is just stocking shelves. So you always want to be looking for that next higher paying position. And that is especially, you don't want to be the person that's loyal to your company because maybe it is decent right now where you have certain coworkers but typically what happens is when, someone or, multiple people quit, then that's when it starts to suck. And so you might have a few people working right now that you get along with and you vibe well, but if those people quit and then others come in, then it just kind of, then it gets more stressful, right? I don't know if you hear that in the background, but it's currently like thundering right now. So yeah, that's what the sound is in the background. But yeah, one other thing that I will share is when I went into my interview for my last job, right? the store district manager, like, she interviewed me, and then she was looking throughout my entire resume, and so she was like saying like, oh, okay, it looks like you've been at these you've been at these positions, looks like you had a good track record, but the one thing that I will, she kind of had like that type of voice. She's like, the one thing that I will say is you kind of job hopped a bit too much. And I just remember sitting there, like, I was like kind of like just nodding my head, like, oh yeah, whatever. But I was just kind of sitting there thinking, like, man, like, had I stayed at one position for longer than I did, then I would be making a lot less money compared to if I was always looking for that next position. So maybe you'll get like a 50-cent raise here and there every 18 months if you're lucky, or 2 years, but I mean, let's be real, that's not really going to do much for you, especially with today, with how, fast the cost of living is, right? So whenever I hear someone talk about like, oh, I got this new position, it's got decent benefits, I'm making, 25 bucks an hour, I'm thinking, okay, cool, but, how often are you getting raises at that job? And is that really going to allow you to live comfortably on your own or supporting an entire family? Unfortunately, for most people, that's just not going to be the case. So my message I want to share here is to, work your job when you can, do the best that you can when you're on the clock, but when you are outside of work, you want to be prioritizing your free time and always look for more ways to make more money. So always look for that next position, always look to build multiple income streams online, do more than the 40-hour work week, and position yourself in a way to where you don't have to work that much in the long term. And when you have, let's say, for example, residual income coming in online, for example, or you are able to, do something that pays you a high ticket income where you make like $1,000 a day or something, then you could work a lot less in corporate America and you could have a lot more freedom and flexibility. So if you want to learn more about what I do, you could check out the link down below, and I'll show you exactly how I'm earning an income online. Otherwise, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Give us a thumbs up and take care. All the best.